And so, my dear ones, today is a very great good day for us all to be focused in and tuned into life and what it means for each one of us. And it's the day that we remember the life that is continuous in our loved ones that have gone before us. And it's a celebration. It's a celebration. I love the song, Celebrate Your Life, Come On. I like that song. It's got great power and potency to it. It's got great energy to it. And it tells us to do what you and I can do and know how to do if we agree to it. And so thinking about our loved ones who have gone before us very often, some of us don't choose to do it because it's too hard. It's too sad. It's too painful. It's too whatever. And I wonder about that because it ought not to be. It ought not to be because you see, our loved ones are expanded in their awareness of themselves now, and they are all around us. They're all around us because the veil between the two experiences is very, very thin. So our loved ones haven't gone far away from us at all. They're all around us and all about us. And I don't know about you, but I get information, feedback from them all the time. My mother still slaps me up the side of the head at times. She really does. And that comes to us through dreams and sensations and experiences and through nature. As I was sharing this morning, my niece is with me so often in the form of butterflies. For her thing is butterflies. And I find butterflies where there shouldn't be butterflies, and butterflies at the time of year where there ought not to be butterflies. I find them everywhere. I say, okay, Suzanne, hi, how are you doing? I hear you, and whatever it is, and so on and so forth. So they are all around us, all about us, and they never separate from us. Why do they never separate from us? Because love, when love is given and love is received, it remains forever. It's eternal. Love is eternal. You do not lose the love of a loved one when they are promoted and go on and are changed into something more and more and more than they have experienced before. Love is always with us. Their love is always with us. And I know you're just as aware of that as I am in the experiences that I have. I'm sure you have them too. If one of us has them, we all have had them and have them. And so Ernest Holmes would say, stop being so morbid about this thing called death, because it's the greatest of all illusions. There is no thing called death. There is change. Of course there is. There is change. But we have that conundrum, because we do miss the physicality of loved ones. We certainly do. But we only miss it from the human point of view. You see, it's only the humanity of us that misses all of that and gets upset and gets sad and feels the terrible separation. But the soul of us doesn't. The spirit of us doesn't, because those loved ones are still with us and we're with them. We have this relationship that is permanent, because that's what love is, permanent. And so our loved ones become our greatest helpers then. And they look in on us and watch over us and slap us up the side of the ear sometimes and do all of that. And sometimes they give us great big hugs, might be in the whisper of a breeze or something like that. But they're with us, and they are still very much part of our life and living. See, each one of us is an eternal person, an eternal life form. Each one of us is. And so this thing called dying and death is just change. But you know how the human mind doesn't do very well with change very often. Even if it is for the good, it's difficult to cope with change, which is why we drag our heels sometimes into something new and wonderful. And when we get there, we say, oh my God, why didn't I do this before now? This is great. So all that happens is that, yes, I will put aside the body and the body will go away, but the essential self of me, the essence of me, will advance, deepen, heighten, widen in this thing called the experience of death, which is simply change and promotion, change and promotion. And then you'll say, oh, well, what about those horrible, awful people? Are they going to be promoted too? All life is in an advancing forward movement. All life is in a forward movement. I don't know, maybe there are spiritual sanatoriums on the other side where you can heal yourself before you're ready for the promotion. I don't know, I'm not sure. And nobody else is either. If they tell you they are, well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to make that judgment. But it wouldn't surprise me if there are those wonderful places where you go to recoup and recover and rest, depending upon, how you went over, you see. Some of us will go over there and we'll jump into the next thing and we're off and running. Some will say, hey, hang on a minute, I need a little bit of a break here, a time out. And that'd be fine too, but all I know is, and I'm absolutely certain of this in every part of my being, that life is in a forward advancing movement, and it doesn't go backwards. It doesn't go forwards. It goes all over the place. Every time we get promoted, up a grade, up a grade, up a grade, up a grade, up a grade. So Ernest would say, stop being so morbid about this thing that doesn't exist at all, and celebrate your life. And you know that beautiful line from The Rose, it's those who are afraid of dying that never learn to live. And it's very, very true. We have this morbid preoccupation with this thing called death. And so when we go to memorial service, and certainly when we go to funerals, we get very door. And it's not something we say, oh, goody, goody, I get to go to a funeral today. I'm so delighted. And why shouldn't we be? We're celebrating this person going on into an expanded awareness of themselves as life. And what is life? Well, we know from the teaching and all of metaphysics, and we know from, quantum physics, that life is energy. It's energy. It's consciousness. You cannot destroy energy. It's indestructible. It's always going to be energy, whatever way it's going to be. So if you and I could just stop this thing about worrying about what's going to happen to me in my old age, whatever that is, and at the end of my days, and when it's time for me to leave this life, and be all, concerned about that. If we could stop doing that and see every day as a celebration that it is. Life is a celebration. I am life in form, celebrating the opportunity that is presented to me in every day to know myself as something more than I knew myself yesterday. How different life would be. How very different life would be. But the challenge is, in a dualistic world, that we're living in this conundrum that's called a human existence and a divine existence. There's an aspect of us that is in human existence, and an aspect of us that is in divine existence. Now, the Christed conscious awareness, or the Buddha experience, is to align those two so beautifully that they are one, and that they're not in conflict with each other or appear to be separate from each other or different from each other. So if you and I could stop seeing ourselves as a human being, sometimes having a spiritual experience here and there, for which we are very grateful, and instead see ourselves as a spiritual being who is having a very, very temporary human experience, very little, small, minute compared to eternality. Immortality. It's very small. And yet, look at all the effort and energy we put into the human experience that we're having. It's in the human experience, if we're over-identified with it most of the time, that we feel separation, and we feel alienation, and we feel anxious, and we feel fear, and we feel doubt, and we feel all these things, which moves us into envy and jealousy and criticism and condemnation and comparing and contrasting and judging and fighting and stealing and lying and cheating and all of those things. Over-identification with the human aspect of our beings, because it's so ego-bound, causes us all this kind of conflict. On the other hand, if you and I were to over-identify with the divine aspect of ourselves, we would jump out of all of that stuff, leave all of that stuff in the dust, and we would just be here to simply be whatever life's opportunity causes for us to engage with, and we would engage with that at the level of love, at the level of care, at the level of understanding, at the level of compassion, at the level of wisdom, at the level of goodness, at the level of kindness, at the level of the truth of our being. And we would then be witnessing through our response the true nature of ourselves as the image and as the likeness of the infinite out of which we came, which is pure life and pure light and pure love, unconditioned and unconditional and certainly unlimited. That's how you and I could know ourselves. And we do know ourselves like that at times, but what we want to do is to know ourselves like that most of the time. Most of the time. So we too can enter into the Buddha consciousness, the Christ consciousness, and be that beautiful, poised energy on this plane that only and ever raises and lifts and advances and settles and calms and pacifies and supports healing and unity and harmony and oneness. Because it's yours to do and it's mine to do too. We can. We're equipped for that. We came in with that ability. But instead of that, what goes on? Well, each one of us would have to ask ourselves that question. Where is my life just now? And which side do I favor? The human side, ego-driven, or the divine side, spirit-led? Which side does my life tend to hang out in the most? And then if there's change required, to be willing to move into that change. Because life is phenomenal, mystical, magical, awesome, wondrous. Why would we want to waste a moment of it in any day, lowering energy because we ourselves have weakened ourselves through negativity of all kinds, whether it's thinking or feeling or doing? Why would we want to bring it down? Why would we want to make it more dense than it can be? Wouldn't we rather be that which raises the vibrational energy, advances and increases and helps restore, restoration instead of demolition? I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. So that everything I think and everything I say and everything I feel and everything I do is either depleting life or it's increasing life. And that's what we're looking at today as our loved ones give us that opportunity. And I'm sure now, knowing that what they know now, they're saying, oh yeah, gosh, I wish I had been a little bit more consciously awake and aware, you know, when I was thinking or feeling or doing or choosing or whatever it is. I could have been, you know, cause of more upliftment than not. Of course, they're not thinking that at all because they're off into another experience, but that's projecting from a human perspective onto what they might be thinking. And so we can give ourselves that opportunity now to be all that we can be, and that radiant light that leaves everybody in our wake feeling better than we found them. I mean, when people are in your company, when they leave your company, do they feel the better for it or the worse for it? Or, you know, it's a wonderful thing to know that we're so empowered. Not that we have any power of our own, we're just empowered. And we can enter into that empowerment or not. Or we can block it or we can stop it. Or we can use it, misguidedly. Hopefully misguidedly and not consciously. And as a consequence of that, see negative results. Well, we're not here for that. No one sitting in this room today wants to have anything to do with that intentionally. We're here to be able to find ourselves in such a way that we can feel good about ourselves, about our lives, and feeling that good, be therefore consequently the channels of that good, and be the enrichment, and be the restorative energy, and be the uplifting energy, the calming and the healing and so on, and you know it well. I mean, we get weary, we certainly do. And from the amount of people, the hundreds and thousands and these of people that I have sat down with one-to-one and talked with throughout my life, I know that people get tired of their own inability to be the best that they can be. And that's why they come to, spiritual centers and they go into therapy and all the rest of it, so that they can once and for all really come home to themselves and know who they really are and what they really are, so that they can be at peace within themselves. And it's only when we're not at peace within ourselves that we disturb the peace anywhere else. It's only because we're not at peace within ourselves that we disturb the peace wherever we're disturbing peace, if we are disturbing peace. So my goodness me, I mean, our work is cut out for us all to keep ourselves that awake, to keep ourselves that conscious. But think of yourself. You're not separated. You're not different from him over there because he's such a son of a gun, or her over there because she's a you-know-what's-it. You're not. We're all mirrors for each other, and we're all part and parcel of each other. I belong to everything and everyone, and everything and everyone belongs to me. And everyone who crosses my path has something of value to give to me if I'm open and receptive to receive it. And again, I'll never tire of saying you'll never grow for those who love and adore you. The only ones you really exponentially grow as a result of, as the ones who get on your last nerve, etc. They're the real teachers. Because you get to see, can I look at that person who has so maligned me or whatever and still love them, knowing who they are? Now, if you can, you know you're getting it. You're on the right path. You're on the right trajectory. You know that somehow all of this is seeping in, and you're really beginning to light up. And it's a beautiful thing when we get there. It's a wondrous thing, because the humanity of us before would just like to go for the jugular and say, well, let me straighten you out, Buster Boo, Missy, and that's what we might have been inclined to do. So, you see, we're all in each other's lives for some very good and important reason. And we're all here with one purpose and one purpose alone. And it's to evolve into that amazing, fantastic, unique, and individualized expression of that which is magnificent and that which is divine. That's what we're here to discover from within ourselves. Like the prodigal, we will come to the point when we'll say, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to live like this. I will return back unto the self of myself, and I will start identifying with that great of myself and that greatness of myself, and I will be what I'm here to be, created to be, always was the divine design for me, to be this awesome emanating thing. We can think of life in many ways. If you're in prison and you're a lifer, you think of life in a whole different way. If you're a monk up in the Himalayas far away, you'll be thinking of life in a special way. If you're somebody that's working 10 hours on an assembly line, you'll be thinking of life in another way. But we think of life as consciousness. And we know that it is our job to become consciousness. You can think of life as a wave. A wave is an amazing thing. You can't see it when it's way out there in the ocean. There's no differentiation between it and the ocean. Then suddenly an energy begins to form, and a swell begins to happen, and the wave begins to form, and it starts to move toward the shore. And as it does, it gets stronger and bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger and bigger, until eventually, at its zenith, it crashes against the shore. And then what happens to the wave? It's in the ocean, where it always was, again. Now, the wave is not any greater or less than the ocean. It's the ocean itself. And your life and my life is like that. We're like a wave on its way to reaching the final destination of whatever it is we're here to reach, and then go back into that full, whole embodied state of the whole ocean. And then who knows what? Be ready to form into something else by means of the divine design for us, and off we go again. Being that unique form, but nevertheless always the same essence as the ocean, never changes that. And that is at the center core of your being. That is at the center core of my being. I am the infinite expression of life that was formed so that life could expand itself by means of me. Now that takes a lifetime to really get the arms of your mind around. That I am infinite beingness that chose to form itself by means of me, to express itself by means of me, to know itself exactly in an individualized form state as me. And again, I'll ask us the question, what does life know by means of me and you? Is it knowing wondrous things? Is it knowing awesome things? Is it knowing unlimited things? Is it, as a result of being, contributing to the advancement of life and its expansion by means of me? And I like to say, what kind of a good time are you giving God by means of you? Or is God having a good time by means of you? And the answer for some of us might be, well, not just exactly at the moment right now, but it won't always be so. And I'm on my way to that time when God can have a real knockdown party by means of me. And that's the power that is yours. That's the truth of your being. That's the essence that you are. That's the energy that you are. That's the intelligence that you are. That's the light form that you are. That's the life form that you are. And that's the unconditional, love-filled, capital self that you are. Now, what you and I do with it is up to us. And of course, the human mortal mind will play a big part in that. And sometimes our human mortal mind will lead us a little bit astray, and our giddy-up won't be so much of a giddy-up. But at the same time, the soul, the essence, the energy, the spirit of you is the one that's in charge. And we'll always be led back home, no matter what. We'll always be led back home to the truth of our being and the essence of ourselves and the greatness and the goodness that we are, each and every one of us. But it's not going to happen if we're not in co-creation with it, cooperation with it. So for that to happen, you and I must step out of our human lives every day for a little bit and move into that wonderful, amazing state of grace that you and I are. Move into its silence that is thunderous with its power and its inspiration and its wisdom and its grace, my goodness. And just for a few minutes a day can be enough to keep us aligned with the truth of our being and our purpose and mission, which is to self-realize, always self-realize, come back to the self, wake up, be the Buddha mind that you are, be the Christ mind that you are. That's always our purpose and goal. How we go about it, we'll all be doing it differently. But that's always the purpose. So when we're in the doldrums, when we're feeling a little blue, when everything seems to be going to hell in a handbasket, that's the best time to stop, take time out and remind ourselves this is not permanent. This is not a true state. This is not what I meant to experience or who I am. And I am going to be okay with this for now. I'm not going to judge it and I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to let it be, knowing it's on its way out. It's on its way out. And some greater good is the result, is the end product of this. If I'm open and receptive to that greater good, good comes out of this. So back into today and its celebration of life, our loved ones would be whispering in our ears right now, who have gone before us, saying, celebrate yourself. Have the life that you've always imagined you could have by allowing yourself to stop the nonsense in what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what leads you to your doing. If it's not working for you, they're saying, for heaven's sakes, come on now. If you're postponing something for your good, stop it. If you put something on the back burner for later, bring it right up front now. There is no later, there's just the eternal now. Do it now. What are you waiting for? you see. And that's always the last gift they leave us, as anybody who's come to any of the memorial services will know. The last gift any loved one leaves is, say, for heaven's sake, do what you want to do, be who you want to be, and do it and be it now. Don't wait, because there will be no good time for all of that. But now is always the ripeness of time, and each one of us in this room is in the ripeness of time for our good to happen and come through us in this here and in this now, which is always an everlasting here and now. Soon as we make the transition and leave the body, we're in the now moment, as we were in the now moment, going through it as we always are in the now moment. So what do you want now is your question. Who do you want to be now is your question. Where do you want to be now is your question. And then act upon it, because life is an action word. You are action-packed. And you are unstoppable and unlimited when you align yourself with the truth of your being. And why not do it now? And so it is.